Welcome to the channel for the first time viewers. Welcome back for my existing subscribers. So a few days ago I had posted on my YouTube community section, just what content would you guys like to see? Like, is there any topics that you guys wanted me to cover? So I got 3 replies, and today I'm going to be covering the one from Isaiah. The question was your PC specs. Like, he wants to know my PC specs. So I'll tell you a little story about where I started and where I'm at now. I've touched base on it on other videos, so if you feel free to go through my journey of a PC new playlist, you'll kind of see my progression, and I'll add this video to that playlist as well. But overall, went to Best Buy, bought a CyberPower PC, pre-built. It was a Ryzen 5 1400. It was a RX 580, 4 gig. It had 8 gigs of RAM. Decent setup. I was able to run Siege at about 130 FPS when everything was clicking, 110 when everything was kind of chugging along, and then if I was running OBS, sometimes I get like 99. So that was like my variations of my FPS. Over time, I've upgraded that. The last big upgrade that I did is I swapped over from AMD to Intel. The first upgrade I did was I got a stronger, I got a stronger CPU. Nope, I got a stronger GPU. So I got a GTX 1080, and then I immediately switched out, like within a week, to the Ryzen 5 1600. Now, when I had the 1080 and I was playing Battlefield 5, the beta, so Battlefield 5 wasn't even out yet. I was playing the beta, and you could just tell that it was chugging along. It was going like 45 FPS, and it wasn't it. So all the other people that I had seen playing the game, they were definitely getting way more FPS than I was. So when I got that 1600, it bumped it instantly to 90. It was like 95 FPS, which is pretty good. I think that's pretty solid for ultra settings. So from there, I wanted to upgrade more aspects of my PC, so I switched out my RAM. So I had a Ryzen 5 1600, I had a GTX 1080, and I still had the original 8 gigs of RAM, so I switched it out for some Corsair 3000 megahertz RAM, which is still what I use to this day. I got 16 gigs of RAM in the PC, and I'll recap everything, tell you exactly what I have. It'll be a quick rundown of the big components. But yeah, I went out and got the Corsair RAM because Ryzen runs a little bit better on RAM. I wanted better content creation and processing power, so I saved up, got a Ryzen 7 2700X. That was a pretty good purchase overall. It definitely sped up my edit times. It was slightly better as far as gaming goes in some games. It was much better in other games, which was weird to me, but whatever. Overall, it was a good purchase. And once I got kind of tired and I wanted to hear or see for myself what the Intel side was kind of about, because everybody's always like, Intel's better, Intel's better, Intel's better. And I was like, I don't know, man, my Ryzen is just fine. And when I watched the benchmark videos, they get like 15 more FPS across games. So at the end of the day, like I said, the last big upgrade that I did, I switched from, oh damn, I forgot my GPU. I did sell my GTX 1080. I bought a 2080, about RTX 2080 Founders Edition. But yeah, I wanted to see what the Intel was about, so I sold my Ryzen 2700X and the motherboard, because you have to buy a new motherboard whenever you switch chip manufacturers. So I got a i7 9700K, and I got another MSI because I'm very happy with them. I got a Z390 Gaming Plus. So this motherboard felt better than my old one. So essentially what I had before was the Bazooka series. So it's the B350M Bazooka is what I had. And essentially it's like the performance brand. So there's really no frills. It doesn't have that much beef to it. Didn't feel that sophisticated. But this one definitely felt a lot thicker, a lot more polished. It's kind of like if you go from like a very, very, very cheap foam using cheap plastics to something that's using aluminum and glass. Like, it just felt a little bit hardier. In game though, I didn't really see too big of a difference. It was kind of like, some games definitely ran at a higher FPS, like Siege ran at a higher FPS on my Intel chip than it did on my 2700X. But if somebody were to build a PC right now, I would definitely say, do a compare and contrast, because the new 3rd generation Ryzen, It's looking pretty solid, and my upgrade path was pretty sweet. So I could have even put that third gen Ryzen into my B350, even though it wasn't the best motherboard, and it would have still ran. So I could have gone. I think they went as high as a 3900X, and it still ran with the B350. So that's a cheap like $70 motherboard, and the one I have now is like 140. But let's recap what I got. I have Intel i7 9700K. For my cooler, I use a Corsair H60. I might upgrade that or get something different. Not sure. My temps are. I'm gonna try to switch out my cases or my case fans and add some more exhaust fans to see if I can get the temps a little lower. My RAM is Corsair Vengeance. It's RGB. It's 3000 megahertz. It's discontinued now. Now they kind of have that RGB fluid panel up top. I have one where it's like the older one that you got through Best Buy. The GPU is a RTX 2080 Founders Edition, and motherboard is a MSI Z390 Gaming Plus. So that's pretty much the core components of it. Power supply is a Corsair. It's a RM850X, I think, something like that. It's a RM850, so it's an 850 watt power supply. I needed to get it because the pre-built that I got only came with a 450 watt power supply. So over time, the upgrades were just like I just needed a 600 watt power supply just to buy the RTX. So I know I had to get that. And then my case is a Fantex P400. I think it's a C. Yeah, I think it's a P400C. So that's the one that the CyberPower came with. I like the case, but I kind of wish it had slightly better airflow. I wish I could have put the cooler up top, and I would have used that as my exhaust fan for my CPU cooler. But you know, it is what it is. So yeah, that's my overall setup for my mouse and keyboard. I use a Corsair K68, and I'll add some pictures of this as I talk about it. But a Corsair K68, and then my Logitech G502 Hero is what I use right now for my mouse. One thing I would say is when you buy your components, like if you buy a mouse or a keyboard, I would try to go through a big box store and get their warranty. Sometimes it can be kind of expensive, but for the mouse it was like $10, and believe it or not, I actually spilled something in my mouse. So I had a Proteus Spectrum. It was another G502, but like 2 generations old, and I was coming up at a year and a half of having it. And what happened was there was some liquid that it was like ant trap, and I was moving it from the windowsill over where my PC is, and it fell into the actual mouse, like the actual mouse wheel, which was just insane. It's like Final Destination shit. So if a drop of it went into the mouse wheel well, and actually just turned off the entire mouse. So like you can move it, but you couldn't click anything because it would just click, and then the button underneath wouldn't release. So took it up there. I had to pay a $15 difference because what they did is they gave me what I paid, and then they applied pretty much $50. The new mouse was like $60 plus tax, so I got my 50 towards that, and then I just paid the difference. And yeah, I left that day with a new mouse. And as far as the mice and things like that, I recommend. But like on bigger projects, like the whole PC, it kind of is what it is. Like I know sometimes Geek Squad and all their protection isn't the best, but it's better than nothing. And CyberPower does, I want to say it's 24/7 support, which I never called them. So that was like an issue I was gonna call them for, and the only issue I had was like the mini display port. Oh no, the display port wouldn't it wouldn't go to the screen, like and it was PUBG that was fucking up my whole PC. So like you would plug in the mini display in the back, and then you turn on your PC, and it just would never turn on. Or you'd be playing PUBG, and then the screen would just go black, and you'd have to like turn off your monitor like with the actual power switch, unplug the power, and reconnect it, and then it would force the graphics driver to work again. But overall, man, let me know what you thought about my setup. I know I went a little bit into a lot of detail of the ins and outs of it, how I got to the point of where I got my setup. So hopefully that was helpful. If I were to buy my setup right now, I don't know, you probably look at anywhere between like $1,600 and $1,900. But like I said, I started off and it was $720. Pretty basic build, but played the game that I really wanted to play on PC, which was Siege, very well. So that's what I recommend for most people. Get something that plays the game you want, And then once you learn a little bit more, start upgrading stuff. That's the cool thing about it. It's not like the console where you have to, take the console back and then, buy a whole nother console. You can just buy a graphics card, slide it in there, and if you want to keep your old one, you can, or if you sell it for profit, you can. Whatever you want to do. I'll catch you guys in the next video, though. Be easy.